welcome to Find Out Nation. I'm one of your hosts, Jamie.
I'm one of your hosts, Nicole.
And we're here to talk about what happens when a nation fucks around and they start finding out. Okay, let's start off. Give me a countdown.
We're 99 days in.
Ooh, 99 days in.
Tomorrow is the 100th day. And I saw today that he is the lowest ranked or whatever it is at 100 days in the last 80 years, 40 years. So, like a crazy fucking long time. Crazy
there
fucking
was a
long
new
time.
Washington Post. And let
Is
me
that what it was?
repeat. Washington Post poll. We're not talking about the New York
CNN,
Times.
yeah.
We're not talking about CNN. We're talking about the Washington fucking Post. 39% approval rating.
Wow.
And they're saying that it is all coming down to the economy. Like it's really coming down to the economy.
But
Yeah.
then he was like, freaking out on True Social about, these fake polls and how these people should be investigated.
Pollsters?
Yes.
Yeah, those fucking pollsters should be
investigated.
No,
the liberal media for
the liberal. Well, I mean, that is the talking point, right? That's what we say.
Exactly. Yes. Okay.
All right. Then, how many days until the
553?
Okay, I think I'll feel better when I'm under 550.
Okay, good. Next week will feel great.
I felt better when we were under 600. Yeah. I now feel like I'll feel better when we're under 550.
I agree.
I like that we're progressing there.
We're steadily marching forward.
We're steadily marching forward.
We're not goose stepping. Let's be fucking clear.
Well, some people are goose stepping. And we're going to talk about, is Trump actually Hitler, in a later part of this episode. But until we get there. Okay, today was a wild day. Trump's interview in The Atlantic came out. So I thought we could start there because let's be honest, it's been a little, it was an interesting interview. He had gone on True Social last month and was just bitching and moaning about how The Atlantic was part of this liberal biased media, blah, blah, blah. But he did sit down. He was like, let's see if they can have a honest conversation.
Was it the same guy? Was the guy that interviewed him the same one that was on the Signal chat?
I don't know, possibly so, but I do know that they did talk about it.
Oh, they did. Oh,
this
God.
is fun.
Tell me, because I don't know anything about this. So give it all to me.
So in all fairness, all I got to read was like highlights from the story since it I think it literally came out today.
Okay.
So I haven't gotten to read the entire article. So we might have a follow-up to this. We'll see. But I at least know that the most unhinged comment was from Trump. The first time I had two things to do: run the country and survive. I had all these crooked guys, Trump said in the interview. The second time, I run the country and the world.
Sir.
So did you happen to hear the noise? So Canadians were voting today for a new prime minister. And they were voting between a liberal and a conservative, both of which came out and were like, go sit down, Donald Trump. He came out on True Social today and made some sort of tweet that was like, hey, Canadians, you should vote for becoming the 51st state because I'll do this and this and this and you'll have no tariffs and like just going on, and everyone's like, shut up. And finally, like, Canadian media is like, the Liberal Party up here should really pay Donald Trump to say some of the unhinged shit that he says because people are associating it with the Conservative Party so much. Like, it's insanity.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, he thinks he runs the world, my friend.
Well, I mean, the Delulu is real.
The Delulu is real. Okay.
And so, okay. I don't even know what to fucking say.
This one I liked. Okay. So Pete Hegseth has had kind of a wild.
He's really having a hard time right now. I just think everyone should get off of him.
So I had read, obviously he had the second Signal chat with his wife and brother.
Yeah.
There was the story that came out from the top Pentagon official about how this has been a month of total chaos under Hegseth.
Yep.
Last week, CBS News reported that Hegseth had a makeup room installed next to the
at taxpayer dollars,
with utilizing taxpayer dollars to install a makeup room. Which who doesn't want their own Sephora? Like, to your
Well,
point,
I mean, true,
who
but
does
here,
not
and
want?
I mean, the good news is he's doing his own makeup. He's
Eh,
not, taxpayer dollars are not paying someone to come in and put his makeup
Are
on.
you sure of that?
That's what they said when they were questioned about it, that he's being fiscally responsible. Okay, you can't put those words and building a makeup room outside his Pentagon office in the same fucking sentence, first of all. And then
Right.
secondly, try to get me to believe that it's fiscal responsibility because we're not paying someone
To do
to
your
do
makeup,
his makeup.
but instead installing his own Sephora, which
Right.
again, like, I'm sorry. If I could have my own Sephora, I probably would too. And then you had mentioned that it also came out that he had a
Dirty internet line.
dirty internet line.
Yeah.
When you say dirty, like, tell me what that means.
Okay, so because I didn't know this, I had to look it up because I'm not tech savvy like you are, and I'm not part of the IT industry. But yes, so a dirty internet line is an unsecured internet line that's connected directly to a personal computer in a secure network, like building an area. So he's got a personal computer in his Pentagon office that he is directly connected an internet line to. It's directly connected to the public internet where his info and websites access do not have the same security filters or protocols that the Pentagon secured connections maintain.
So,
Go ahead.
I interpret this to be like Starbucks. Like, he's
Yes,
joined
literally.
the internet with his
Literally. I mean,
right.
yeah, like it said that the biggest advantage to him doing that is it would not show up as one of the many IP addresses assigned to the Defense Department,
Right.
as well as it lacks the record keeping compliance required by federal law. But it also exposes him to hacking and surveillance.
So I know. So at my company, we have our own like security protocols. We have dedicated IP addresses, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I know how to circumvent those if I need to say, get on my Google Drive and work on my budget for a day, because like, the company is very specific. They don't want you being able to access like secure data and then open up your internet. Like,
your own,
and my company is not the Pentagon. Like, my company is not the Pentagon. So to like, oh, I'm going to circumvent or go around. And anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So The Atlantic asked Trump what he thought about Hegseth. Trump responded, I think he's going to get it together. He had a serious conversation with him. Oh. And he thinks that he's going to get it together.
Daddy Trump had a serious conversation with Petey, did he?
Right. He wasn't like, I scolded him nope. It's just, hey, we had a conversation and I feel like he's going to get it together soon. Like, it's going to happen.
Okay. Because see, what's coming out is that he is screaming at the acting chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff that he's going to make him take a fucking polygraph in front of other staffers. Right. I don't know that he's getting it together anytime soon.
No, he thinks do we think he stopped drinking? Because at this point, there's no way he's not drinking. Like, at this point, there's just no way.
No, Pete Hegseth doesn't. Sobriety and Pete Hegseth are not friends.
No, not friends. Just like Pete Hegseth and doing his own makeup, I don't think is reality either. Right?
Can you imagine Donald Rumsfeld having a makeup room outside the Pentagon?
Oh my God! Can you imagine? I literally at this point would love to Google what does Donald Rumsfeld feel about Pete Hegseth. I think he's got to be like,
oh my God. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I cannot imagine Donald motherfucking Rumsfeld.
I mean, this is what kills me, because when these people go on these interviews, they usually have somebody that comes in and touches them. I mean, I guess maybe not if he's like right outside his Pentagon office.
Right.
But like when he goes on these news shows, they're doing his makeup. But then did you notice, and this is me, and I'm a petty little bitch, but did you notice outside, which, I mean, it's fine if you didn't. It's fine. Easter egg roll day. Okay. Yeah. And Pete's standing there talking to the reporters, and his children are behind him, like looking confused, a little scared for their lives, as he's telling the reporters, these leakers need to go. It's all these leakers, blah, blah, blah. So he turns this way at one point to look at the cameras, and then he turns this way. Well, we have a sideburn here, and we don't have a sideburn here.
No, he does not.
Yeah, girl. So maybe He also should not be shaving himself.
Right. Or maybe some makeup girl waxed him and like that was it. He's like, fuck this shit. I'm doing my own makeup from now on.
You can't trust anybody in this
you
country.
can't trust anyone, not even my makeup person.
She was probably on the Signal chat.
It could be a makeup boy.
It could be.
I'm just saying, someone ruined his side. I gotta look this up.
You gotta look it up.
I gotta look this up.
Yeah.
Okay. On a serious note, I will say that now that we're at 100 days, I think we have known that like serious legislation is coming. We talked about it coming at the 90th day. But
like much more than the EOs, right?
Like more than the executive orders. Yeah. So Mike Johnson basically came out today and said that, hey, listen, the coming days will be critical. Right now, there are 11 different House committees that are planning to release various pieces of legislation. Oof. And all of those are centered around our budget plan. So the process that they're utilizing is something called budget reconciliation, which I guess Democrats can't filibuster. And so they don't need Democratic support in order to push this budget agenda forward.
Again, this is why I hate the fucking Republicans, but also why the Democrats make me so goddamn mad, because they won't do this kind of shit. This is why Democrats are
not able to get anything done, because they don't take advantage of shit like this.
Yep.
Johnson said, we've been working on, and he means the legislation, we've been working on it for over a year. Now is game time. He emphasized that this next few weeks is going to be critical. He believes that they could get one massive budget package released prior to Memorial Day.
Jesus.
But everyone says that's pretty ambitious for them to do that. And I think that's going to be like their first draft. Things that are part of this budget reconciliation process includes $150 billion in defense programs, including $25 billion for a golden dome for missile defense, and $34 billion in shipbuilding, $20 billion in munitions purchases. Because, that's what our military needs. Although I will say that I did, during this week's research, I did find an article that talked about how our reserves are like at 67% overweight. And that so now anyway, I just thought that was amusing. Anyway.
Interesting.
Then in addition to the defense program, the House and Homeland Security Committee is proposing $46.5 billion for new border barriers. The wall, I guess.
In the ocean?
$5 billion for new customs and border protection facilities, and $4 billion for new custom officials and border personnel. In addition, they're requesting several billion dollars more in technology to tighten security measures at the border. And it includes $1 billion for security and planning for the 2028 Olympics, as well as $625 million for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which isn't that in Kansas City?
Mm-hmm.
We only got $625 million, but the Olympics gets $1 billion, whatever.
And that goes to California?
Yeah. Okay. So the other big piece of this is, of course, the Trump tax cuts, which are the tax cuts and jobs. Something or other. Act, yeah. So the Besant, the Secretary
Besant?
Yes. What's his
name? Scott Besant.
What's his title?
Isn't he the budget? No, he's not the budget. That's the guy from. Hold on.
All right, I gotta look it up.
Yeah, he is Secretary of Treasury.
That's what I thought.
Scott
okay,
Besant,
I kept saying Secretary Treasurer because I'm on the HOA as the Secretary Treasurer, and I'm like, that's not right. Right. Okay. So Besant says that Trump's TCJA tax cuts, that part of what this includes will be making those permanent, also including no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, and deductibility for auto loans if you purchase an American-made car, plus media expensing, which I don't know what media expensing means. I'm wondering if our microphones are going to be media expenses that we're going to be able to deduct. Who knows? And it says 100% expensing for equipment in factories. So if
For
local,
American
if
manufacturing.
domestic companies start rebuilding the factories, 100% expenses for bringing in that equipment. They're saying that they aim to wrap the tax portion of the president's agenda by early July, but they are trying to hit that pre-Memorial Day deadline that Mike Johnson wants to get them
Okay,
through.
quick question.
Yes.
Bear in mind, kind of dumb over here. Definitely not an economics whiz. I'm definitely not Donald Trump. If we're not paying taxes on any of that shit, we're going to have a shortfall.
So we'll have to see what the budget says, because to your point,
Because
they're
that
going to
money's
have
to come from somewhere.
They're going to have to get the money from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
We already know Doge, who originally said $2 trillion in savings, then it went down to $1 trillion in savings. Now it's at $150 million of savings. And all of the experts are like, that's
It's
a
actually
joke.
$15.
Exactly correct. Like every analyst on the planet's like, everything that Doge was supposed to deliver is out the fucking window. I will tell you
Shocking.
that one of the earliest budget drafts, and I think you actually brought this up to me, it included cutting all funding for the 988 suicide and crisis
hotline.
lifelines.
Yep.
Their LGBTQ youth specialized services. So, and again, this was a leaked budget draft in the Washington Post.
Yeah.
And so if approved, those cuts would go into effect in October. So clearly this budget will include cuts, and it'll include cuts in areas that are critically important to
Like probably Medicaid and Medicare
and Social Security.
Yep. All the things that they said they weren't going to do.
Yep. That is correct.
They like to lie.
So I think we will actually start seeing some of this stuff come to fruition, or at least start seeing what the plan is sometime between now and Memorial Day, which again is super aggressive. That's like less than a month away. But regardless, definitely before like it sounds like July timeframe. So it'll be interesting to see what this legislation comes out as.
Yeah, it's just it's super frustrating to me, the 988 hotline stuff, because it's clear that they're targeting the queer community with it, because I had seen in here the budget would maintain $10 million for specialized services for Spanish speakers seeking access to 988 services, and completely eliminate the set aside for specialized services specifically for the LGBTQ youth. And it does not include funding for any of the centers for excellence that specialize in assisting individuals who identify within the specific groups, such as the African American Behavioral Health Center of Excellence, Asian American, Native American, Pacific Islander, the LGB Center for like there's all of these. And this number was staggering to me. As of mid-March, more than 41.5 million people had called the hotline, texted, or sent chats, and been transferred to a crisis center since July of 22.
Did you say 41.5 million people?
So from July of 22 to mid-March, 41.5 million people have called the hotline and been transferred to a crisis center.
That's insane.
Of those 41.5 million, 1.2 million of them were routed to LGBTQ specific specialized services.
Wow.
And since 22, the federal government has invested $1.5 billion into the 988 project, including expanding access to services for Spanish speakers, LGBTQ plus youth and young adults, and people who are deaf or hard of hearing by creating sublines for those groups.
Wow. Like seriously, suicide hotline, mental health. This is such a critical place that we're at. And and what kills me is like, and I get that we think LGBTQ only affects left-leaning people. Well, you know what I'm saying? But how come it's always the people that are raging against the LGBTQ community, and then they all come out as, oh, they had child pornography, or the loudest advocates against always seem to
have some skeleton in their closet.
Right. Yep. So I just don't understand like this just inherent hatred of the LGBTQ community.
I don't either.
Unless all these fucking politicians are just fucking gay. And I'll be honest, I know a lot of men with wives and children that I'm like, that's
a lavender marriage.
That guy is gay. There's no doubt. I had a girlfriend who got married to someone, and then when he repeatedly cheated on her, she was just like, I don't know why. I do everything to try and please him. And I'm like,
He doesn't
because he's
want you.
gay.
Yeah, he's
So
just not. You're not
he's
his
out
type.
trying to find the woman that is
Yes,
going to make him not gay, and he's
and it's a
never going to
man,
find it. Right.
right?
He's never going to find it because the motherfucker's gay. And if he would just accept that of himself,
Yes,
he'd be so much happier. He'd be
and
such a happier person.
this is also, I guess, this is kind. I just kind of answered my own question because I'm like, if they hate, which not if they clearly hate the gays so very much that I'm
Yes.
like, and they want to tout how it's a mental health disorder that
I know.
you can pray the gay way, you can do all these things.
Yep.
So why wouldn't you want this hotline? But then
I
see,
know.
this hotline's not going to probably tell them that they're living in sin and that they're wrong and they need to change who
Right.
they are.
That's
So
right.
I guess, so I kind of answered my own question with that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You know.
yeah,
So speaking of pray the gay away,
yeah.
the Pope's funeral was this weekend.
I did not know where.
Only because of the prayer thing. I don't
mean,
believe
it's
the
true.
Pope was gay.
No,
But he was an LGBTQ advocate, so, good for him.
Yes.
All right. So can we just talk about Trump and how he behaved at this funeral? I know.
You mean sleeping?
So, right. So after the right wing lost their motherfucking minds over Obama's tan suit,
Yes.
Donald Trump shows up to a funeral in a blue suit. Now, I get he was not the only statesman in a blue suit. I've heard that Prince William was in a blue suit as well. But after the right wing lost their fucking minds over that tan suit, I'm just like, are you serious? Are you serious?
But
also,
blue is the color of America.
I guess, but can I say, like, he might as well have worn white to a wedding. What the fuck are you thinking? Like, who does that?
So true. So
okay,
true.
but that was, in my opinion, the least of the shitty things he did.
Yeah.
He chewed gum. He looked or texted on his cell phone.
Was doing something on a phone. Yeah. Which who knew he even had the dexterity to use a cell phone?
He might have been playing Candy Crush. Let's be honest.
He probably was. Yeah.
I mean, he's an old man, and he's okay.
Yeah.
But the man nodded off. Okay, and
I mean, funerals are boring.
Funerals are boring. I agree. And don't get me wrong, like, I get it. But the picture of him sleeping is absolutely like an old man who's fallen asleep in his wheelchair after lunch.
Like somebody lean over.
They said Melania, right. They said Melania had to wake him up multiple times for snoring.
Girl, shut up. I mean, okay, so he fell asleep at the National Cathedral, I believe, for the National Day of Prayer, wasn't that right after the inauguration? And you see her like nudging him.
Yes. So this whole Sleepy Joe narrative, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, sir?
Yeah.
Sir,
well, he was jet lagged.
Right.
Because Air Force One doesn't have a bed on it.
No, right. There are no facilities on Air Force One for someone to take a nap.
He's just sitting in coach with all the other slums.
And you've got like Pete Hegseth kicking the seat behind you. And Bondi is like nudging you. And
like Elon Musk's kids running up and down the aisle.
Right. Elon Musk kids are blaring their iPads. It's super loud. Like you can't
all the iPad babies on the airplane.
Right. You can't get a fucking break when you're the president on the Air Force One, right? Yeah.
Then the fucking press wants to ask you all these stupid questions.
Right. Exactly correct. So, I mean,
I still thought that it was an odd choice.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, I think she just looked odd. Like, she didn't look like herself. And to be perfectly honest, I generally think of Melania Trump as pretty well put together. Like she
1,000%.
Right, she usually looks stunning. I'm usually very impressed with like her outfits and what she puts on and all of that. Yeah. So to see her like looking that way, like she looked well, and maybe with her identifying as Roman Catholic, maybe this is more devastating to her than I can imagine. Maybe she looked sad. Like she just looked sad.
I found it interesting too that I don't know that JD Vance was there. I thought that was interesting that as Catholics, they didn't attend the funeral with President Trump and Melania.
Well, maybe it's because he just
killed the Pope. Yeah. I mean, Well, and then also, but I just think she hates him. And I think
Melania?
she hates, and
I think Melania hates JD Vance.
No, I think she hates Trump.
Oh, I do too.
I think
I
she
do
hates Trump.
too.
So I think every time she has to go out with him in public, it's sickening to her. Like when I
So
watch her and watch
yes,
old
her
videos of
body
her,
language,
oh my God,
the
she
way she
hates that
responds,
man.
and it's
Yeah.
not like he hasn't. If my husband I knew had actively cheated on me, and
Oh,
let's be honest, I was just staying with him for the
for the
money.
money?
That's how I would feel. Like I would be
Yeah.
disgusted by him
Yeah.
and despise every moment I spent with him.
Yeah.
So I really have to believe that that's how she is as well.
Oh,
With that said,
because
who
he's made
knows?
her a fucking joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and that's I hate the idea of like I feel bad that she's in the position that she's in. And if the bitch is gonna be rich after he dies, then more power to her.
I
Like
mean,
good
I
for her.
guess. Yeah.
And so, like, I got to be honest, would I do some shady shit, including marrying like some people for some money? I might, like,
There's got to be something in it for her because she wouldn't stay otherwise, right? Like, why
I
would
don't
you
think
stay?
so.
Because it's so clear to me she cannot fucking stand him.
And it's not like she's ever like I don't remember, and I haven't done my research on this, but I don't remember an article that's like, I love my husband, I
No,
adore him, I can't wait to
no,
see him at the end of the day, like any of that, right?
no,
So
no. And I mean, and maybe I'm a lunatic, but like, my husband and I've been together 28 years and like, I'm still all over him like it's day two. Do you know what
well,
I mean? Like,
and we saw Michelle Obama and Barack
yes,
Obama, like
lots of affection. Hmm. They liked each
their
other.
relationship
Yeah.
outwardly showed a
Yes.
relationship. Bill and Hillary Clinton,
George and
we
Laura Bush.
we
Yeah.
knew what their relationship was. It was
Oh,
very
yeah.
political and it was very clear, and that has
Yeah.
never been in dispute.
Yeah.
George and Laura Bush, you're exactly right. Like she
Yeah.
stood by her man and she came out and said, I'm standing by my man. Like that was
Mhm.
it. So
Mhm.
to your point, like it's been very clear. Like you can tell the relationship of two people. And I don't think that we have it
Mm-mm.
wrong with the Trump Melania
Yeah, there's an
relationship.
agreement there.
Well, I think, yeah. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yes, there
He
is
couldn't have
some
won the
sort of
White House without a wife.
that's right. There
Mhm.
is an agreement there, and there is clearly like she'll definitely get something out of it. Like
Oh yeah.
good for her. Good for her.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, speaking of the Pope's funeral,
Yeah.
after the Pope's funeral, Trump met with Zelensky,
Mm.
and despite what did you say last week, he came out and was criticizing
Last Thursday.
Zelensky and the way
Mhm.
that he was handled. What did he say again? You just told me.
That's okay. He was in the Oval Office with the Prime Minister of Norway. He'd been
Yeah.
having a meeting with him, and they were in the Oval Office with the reporters. And he was asked something by a reporter about the war in Ukraine and Russia, because I guess he had tweeted out the whole like Putin stop or whatever
Mm.
thing that morning about the bombing. And he had said that Russia had made what Trump, had considered a major concession in peace talks with Ukraine by agreeing to not take the whole country.
Nice.
Stop taking the whole country. I think that's a pretty big concession. That's not a concession at all.
That's not a concession at
and that's
all.
what Zelensky's like, we're not giving up any part of our country.
That's
Like,
right. Well, and this is what's so frustrating about Trump and his foreign policies is
mhm.
that he says one thing and then he'll say another thing. Like he meets with one person and says one thing and then he meets with another person and can just say completely the opposite thing.
Yes.
So on Saturday, after the funeral, he met with Zelensky and then he got back on True Social and said that he has doubt that Putin wants to end the war in Ukraine. He hinted at sanctions against Russia, saying there was no reason for Putin to be shooting missiles into civilian areas, cities, and towns over the last few days. Trump said, it makes me think that maybe he doesn't want to stop the war.
Maybe.
Maybe
We're,
he's
3.5 years in now?
along and has to be dealt with differently through banking or secondary sanctions. Too many people are dying. Where have you been?
Fucking clueless. And do we really, I mean, the fact that this is revelatory to Trump is insane
Where
to
has
me.
he been?
Right. Like, this is the reason why the US constantly has sanctions on Russia.
Right. And
because
this
it's
is
the only
why.
way to hurt them.
That's right. And for him to just surround himself with people that are telling him what he
Yep.
wants to hear, this is
Yep.
why that's so goddamn dangerous.
And
So
people
I
like
was reading
Stephen
another
Miller,
article where it
who,
talked about how like Trump walks. So they were comparing Donald Trump and Deion Sanders. So I don't know if you heard about the entire like, what's his name?
Shador. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
girl. We had the draft was on in my house all week. Yeah.
Yeah. So like he got drafted fifth round. Like people were,
Mm-hmm.
and a friend of ours in the Black community was very expressive about how she felt that this was racially motivated, that when there's somebody that has a lot of confidence and arrogance, that the white community just can't handle it. And so,
Mm.
that this was like the draft, this was evidence of that. Whereas one of the other people that we were talking through it today was like, well, I think that yes, there's probably some bias there, but there's also like he's pretty arrogant and says he's so great when in all fairness, he's still
His
like
playing is not.
right. He's the number
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
quarterback in the nation. And
Yeah.
his team didn't do that great. And he's
Right.
the number 3 quarterback in the nation when he's being coached by his dad. But how's he going to do under another coach? And like
Mm-hmm.
he's expressing like that it's all his teammates' faults and blah 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 blah
Right.
blah.
Right.
All of that's valid, and I don't want to talk that here because you can go to ESPN and
Oh
watch
God. And
1,000
ad
more
nauseum.
right
Yes.
people who are better prepared to have that conversation. But this article was comparing Deion Sanders and Trump and how there's like a fine line between being confident and arrogant even
Mm-hmm.
and narcissistic and just believing that because you believe that you can do a thing that it's going to happen and that you don't actually have to be good, that you just have to say it's true and then it's true. And like
Mm-hmm.
if you're surrounded by people that constantly are just telling you what you want to hear,
Yep.
you're not doing the work to find out, hey, by the way, like all of us knew,
Yeah.
that of
Yeah.
course Putin was not going to like
Right.
wants to end the war. Of course he is just like stringing Trump along. Of course he has no intention of coming to the table and
Right.
actually negotiating any peace talks. Of course fucking not, you goddamn senile, sleepy, dumb
Right.
shit idiot.
Yeah.
Of course not. Come on.
Yes. I mean, but you wanted to blame Biden for not
Right.
being able to get this shit done. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And now he's talking about how, well, I think it was an interview maybe with Time Magazine that came out over the weekend where he was saying, well, everybody knows that when I was saying that I was going to end the war on day one, I was just speaking, you know, in general. I didn't literally mean on day one. I'm sorry, that's not true. You literally meant day one and then went so far as to be bold enough to say that you would actually start the peace talks before you were inaugurated and maybe have the deal done before inauguration day.
Yes.
Here we are 100
comments,
days in, you haven't done shit.
that's right. His comments, I believe I'm the only one that can get this thing negotiated. And I think we're a long way, but we've had very good talks and we're getting very close to a deal. Motherfucker, if this
Yeah.
is what you're saying, you're nowhere near a deal.
Right.
Like you're again totally delulu. And
Yeah.
this is what I struggle with the Republican Party. There was a whole Saturday Night Live like skit around how on one hand they want to be like, well, Trump doesn't have, the capabilities to just force this and get Putin to just, but on the other hand, he's such a good foreign policy leader
Right.
that
Yes.
he's the only one that could get it done. But
Yeah.
on this hand, like, he can't force someone to do something. But on this hand, but he's such a good negotiator. It's the same with the El
Right.
Salvador thing. Like,
Yes.
well, he can't tell this president what to do. Like, oh, he's not able to do that. Oh, but he also can't have a conversation with him because, like, what's he going to do? But he's so good at being for like
right.
okay, you have to pick
Yes.
one. Like, what is he
Yes.
actually able to do? You
Yeah.
people are insane.
Clearly nothing.
Okay, so this brings about a conversation that I wanted to have with you.
Mhm.
Fox News is losing their ever-loving mind right now.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. On whether so James Carville and Larry David in the last couple of weeks have called Trump Hitler, or at least Hitler-like. So you remember when Bill Maher had dinner with Trump,
Mm-hmm.
and absolutely, like, some of his comments were so fucking insane. He says, look, I get it. It doesn't matter who he is as a private dinner with a comedian. It matters who he is on the world stage, but I'm taking it as a positive that this person exists, because everything I've ever not liked about him was, I swear to God, absent at least on this night with this guy. I've had so many conversations with prominent people who are much less connected, people who don't look you in the eye, people who don't really listen because they just want to get to their next thing. None of that was him. He mostly steered the conversation to, what do you think about this? I know your mind is blown. So am I. Okay, Bill Maher. The fact is that a good politician will make you feel like you're the prettiest girl in the
Yes,
room.
that's exactly right.
Ask anyone that's met Bill Clinton. Ask anyone that's
Yep.
met Barack Obama. Like, a
Yeah.
good politician will
Knows how to
100% make
schmooze.
you feel like you're the prettiest girl in the room.
Yep.
If you're falling for it,
Yep.
you are another
And
one of our seniors that
yes.
is falling for these goddamn
Yeah.
toll text
Yes,
scams.
exactly.
Like, I'm
Yes.
sorry, but if
The
you fall,
sweetheart scams.
that's right. If you're falling for this politician, then you're just as stupid as all the
Well,
dumb shit MAGA people that are
yeah.
falling for Trump as well.
And why do you think, Bill Maher, that he's asking you what you think about certain things? Because he doesn't have a fucking thought in his own brain.
That's right.
He's
That
got
is
to be told
exactly right.
constantly what to think about things because he is too fucking ignorant
That's
to
right.
read anything, to, critically think about anything, to understand history. Like,
That's right. So the only way he hears about these things is if he talks to other people.
yeah.
And when he's only talking to the yes men that he surrounds himself with,
Yeah.
he's not hearing anything else. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so James Carville, on his latest episode of his Politics War Room podcast, which I don't know if you watch his Politics War
I
Room
do not.
podcast, it's hard to get through. Like,
Is it?
First of all, James Carville being the age that he is,
Yeah.
and he has a co-presenter that is also very elderly, and the two of them together, like,
Oh,
they're
God.
difficult to understand.
Ugh.
But regardless, he came out with his latest podcast, and it's titled, Is Trump Really Like Hitler? Carville brought up CNN host Michael Smerconish's recent commentary claiming that while people may hate Trump, he is not Hitler and should not be treated as such. But Carville pushed back, saying, rhetorically, do we wait until he is Hitler? At what point do you say this guy is a threat? He recommended the CNN host bring on historians like Ann Applebaum or Timothy Snyder to provide historical context when discussing topics like authoritarianism. I don't disagree. Like, at the end of the day,
100%.
like, I understand Fox News is losing their mind because they're Fox fucking News.
Mm-hmm.
But if we had like, all the signs are there.
Yeah.
That this
Yes.
president is trying to create an authoritarian regime.
Yeah.
Even so much as 2028, Trump for 2028 merchandise is on MAGA sites. What did you tell me? As of Saturday?
As of Thursday of last week. A social media account linked to Trump shared a photo on Thursday of his son Eric sporting the new hat, priced at $50. The t-shirts are on sale for $36 and state Trump 2028, rewrite the rules in parentheses.
So all of the indicators are there. That this is what Trump, like, even in this Atlantic interview that I talked about earlier in this podcast, they asked him about a 2028 run. And he's like, well, I'm not shutting the door. I haven't talked to the Justice Department about how we get that changed, but I'm not shutting the door to it being, a possibility. All of the fucking indicators are there.
Steve Bannon said last month that he's a firm believer that Trump will run and win the White House for a third term in 28. Asked how Trump would sidestep the constitutional limits, Bannon replied, we're working on it.
That's right.
Because let's not forget,
that's right.
These are the orchestrators of Project
2025. That's right. And Steve Bannon said that weeks ago.
Yeah.
And what blows my mind is we have not heard a Democratic response to it. So James Carville is completely right to be like, listen, we're seeing a Hitler in the making right goddamn fucking now.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about it? And you have people like CNN who, I'm sorry, CNN, but kiss my fat fucking ass.
Yeah.
He is like Hitler. And I think it's So in making fun of the Bill Maher dinner, Larry David posted a satirical piece that was like, my dinner with Adolf. And it was like, Adolf's not really a bad guy. Adolf's a painter. Adolf did it. Like, it was.
Adolf loves children.
That's right. Exactly right.
And
Oh,
dogs.
you should meet his wife. They are such a cute couple and blah, 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 blah. And that's like humanizing this guy is not the answer.
It's dangerous.
And we do need to treat this as a real fucking threat.
Well, yeah, because let's not forget that that's exactly how Hitler got his absolute power.
Right.
And I'm going to say this, and then somebody that's well more versed in history is going to be like, no, this is not true. But I'm fairly certain he eliminated the media.
Oh, yes.
And he eliminated
we knew because he had state-run media where he was dictating the story of Jews are bad.
Yes.
It was like he released a book. Remember, he released his book.
Yeah, Mein Kampf,
Mein Kampf before running for president because like he was specifically, I think that's right. I better Google it just to make sure. But he had
I think that's true, I think he was in prison when he did it.
That whole story of it's the Jews. So Mein Kampf is a 1925 autobiography by the Nazi Party leader. The book outlines many of his political ideology and future plans for Germany and the world. So it was released in 1925, and then Volume 2 was released in 1926.
Oh, I didn't know there was a Volume 2.
Yeah.
Yikes. Well, and when I listened to Tom Hogan stand up in the press briefing room and talk about how these children that were deported over this past weekend, this was a situation where their mothers were being deported and the mothers were being given the option of, do you want to take your child with you or do you not? First of all, no mother on the planet's going to say, nah, leave them.
Right.
Especially when their child has stage 4 cancer.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm taking my child with me.
Yeah.
Like, let's not make this sound like it's a parental choice, Tom Homan.
Right.
Like, all these people are fucking soulless. And again, I'm not saying these people shouldn't be deported. I'm saying the way we're doing it is Nazism.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. We're not following our Constitution, and that's fucking should have everybody's hair on fire.
Well, to your point, you might not say that Trump is a Nazi, because maybe his ideals aren't exact, but the point is that he's still an authoritarian regime. Like he is trying to instill an authoritarian government very much the same way Hitler did.
Yes.
And his principles and ideals, regardless, he's trying to circumvent our government as a whole.
Yes.
In a way that is highly illegal.
Yes.
And that when we are trying to make the analogy that Trump is Hitler, it's not that he like necessarily believes Jews are bad and like that's not it. It's not the political ideologies that he has. It's his methods. To your point, his methods match Hitler's to a T. In Mein Kampf, they have this whole section on propaganda and the war message and all this shit. Like, it is clear that like we're trying to take a page out of a dictator's
handbook
leadership style and do exactly what and that means overtaking the American government and like breaking constitutional
and the judiciary
law. That's right.
And I mean, because you've got to other people in order to give people someone to hate.
That's
so
exactly
they're not
right.
Watching what you're doing. It's the immigrants, it's the queer community, it's the autistic community,
That's
it's whatever.
Right. The trans community, whatever. 100%.
Yeah.
So this leads me to another question that I want to talk about. The Rebellion PAC and the Populist Plank. You and I think, both watch the Young Turks from time to time, or at least like keep up to date with what they're doing.
Yeah.
Sync came out this last week and was like, hey, we're starting our new Rebellion Super PAC, and it's based on this populist plank. So they're calling it populist and not progressive because they feel like progressive is too left leaning. So, and basically their motto is, we hate Trump. We hate the current Democratic Party. These are the 6 pillars that almost all Americans agree on. Let's run on these 6 pillars and get politicians in place that will support these 6 things that everyone agrees on. Okay, the
Okay.
6 things.
Yeah.
Number 1, get money out of politics. If we get money out of politics, the whole system changes for the better. Politicians would stop being beholden to their donors and would focus on their constituents. And candidates and elected officials would stop wasting their time calling donors all day and night. As an added bonus, we would all stop getting those annoying emails. 100%. I think everybody in America believes get fucking money out of politics. Citizens United, yes.
Is to blame for a lot of for how out of control it is now.
What kills me is if the majority of Americans believe get money out of politics, explain Elon Musk to me.
Exactly.
Because the reality is that people want money out of politics unless the money benefits their politician.
Them. Yep.
And their politics.
Yep.
And then the money's just fine. So this is where I have a real problem with just number 1, the first tenet of this populist plank. I love the idea because I 100% agree. Fucking get money out of politics. Stop the lobbying, stop the super PACs, stop all this shit. But at the end of the day, people don't believe in this as much as you think they believe in it.
Right.
So I work in an industry where we have something that people have to pay a fee for to use all the time. And everyone says, man, if you got rid of this fee, we would definitely come over and use your product. But in reality, hardly anybody ever uses that service. And so in a pinch, when they need to use the service, they're like, fine, fuck it, I'll pay the fee. Right. And that's the reality of a lot of these things. Okay. Higher wages. No explanation needed, but the last time we raised the minimum wage was 2009. I understand the sentiment here that higher wages are needed. But the reality is that if you ask most people, higher wages means lower wages for billionaires and higher wages for the middle class. So yes, higher, like just saying everyone should make more money is great. But the reality is that all the CEOs out there, Elon Musk included, are getting richer. So guess what? Wages in a lot of ways are going up. But they're just going up for the top.
For a certain amount of people.
For a certain group of people. And politicians can point to, oh, wages have gone up over the last 10 years. Just go look.
Right.
Sure, they have gone up. But the reality is that they went up for a certain sector of people and not, and because those people already make all the money, it looks like our average wages are continuing to rise. When in reality, the bulk of people have been stagnant for years, or inflation or rising healthcare costs are eating up all of those.
That's exactly right. So it makes no difference.
I had someone on my team who did an analysis of like our standard cost of living increase is like 2%, but our healthcare costs have risen like 2.5% every year. So he's like, I'm not making any more money. And in fact, my take home pay is going down because of this change. So higher wages, you need more than just higher wages.
And when the states are allowed to set their own, I mean, like Kansas's minimum wage is still $7.25 an hour. Missouri just voted to increase theirs to 15, and our Republican-led government in the state is trying to overturn the will of the voters. So there's a lot more than just more wages that is a very nuanced statement.
That's right.
Lots has to change for that to happen.
Paid family leave. Paid family leave is one of those things. So it says the United States is the only developed country without any guaranteed paid parental leave at the national level. Paid leave improves both maternal and infant health. Okay, agreed. But at the end of the day, if you were to ask people how much they care about paid family leave, I would be interested to see how high up on the list this is. And the reason why I say that is because most people who are employed are going to get short-term disability in order to spend 6 to 9 weeks with their newborn baby. Would I have loved paid parental leave? Of course I would have. But the reality is more people are having less babies, or I should say more and more people are having no babies. So this is not applying as much as it has in the past. And I don't believe that people are having less babies because they don't get paid parental leave. I think it's because of the thing that we were talking about earlier with higher wages, right?
And the cost of daycare and the cost of healthcare.
That's
and the
right.
cost of diapers and all the things.
That's right. That's right. So at the end of the day, while I do think most people probably support paid family leave, it's again one of those things that, like, if you ranked it against, I don't know, global warming, I don't
Right.
know that it's that high up on the list.
Yeah, I don't know if it is or not either. And I'm trying to think, it could have changed recently, but my husband's company does not do short term disability for that. You can take FMLA, but you're going unpaid. You're only going to get whatever vacation time, you're only going to get paid for however much vacation time you have accrued. You can take the 12 weeks for FMLA, but you're not getting paid for it.
Well,
Um,
but do you get your sick leave? Can you take your sick leave for it?
so they just have one PTO bucket. So yeah, you'll get
Oh,
paid for whatever you have accrued. And that's it. And then you can take the rest of it unpaid at your choice. But I also think, and I could be really wrong about this, but I still think that there's a huge chunk of people who think that that's a woman's issue.
maybe. To your point, like, so when we had a baby, my husband got like 3 days off and then was
Yeah.
back at
Jamie
work.
got 5 days. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And that
To
was
your
his
point, like,
PTO.
that sucks about the single PTO bucket.
Yeah.
At my company, when I had AJ, we had sick time and vacation time. And of
Oh,
course, I
yeah.
had racked up like 8 weeks of sick time. So I was
Mm,
able to take 2 full months with him. And to your point, then I had the option to take another month, but it was going to go because I was covered under short term disability. Like
mm,
I was going to be able to take, like, get 75% the first week and then 50% the next 2 weeks. And then my last week would have been unpaid. But
mm.
I decided to go back at 8 weeks, which it sucked. I would have loved to have gone back at 12 weeks. And now that
Yeah.
my company has taken a no vacation time, blah, blah, blah kind of position,
Mm.
now I would just take the 12 weeks and be done with it. But
Yeah,
regardless,
we just have one
again,
bucket at my place too. So, but we do have short-term disability, but I don't know how it works with maternity leave.
well, and I'll just say, like, to be perfectly honest, several of our friends have kids, but several of our friends do not.
Uh-huh.
And this is why I
Mm-hmm.
say, like, I don't know that this is as big a deal,
Yeah.
especially to younger generations
Yep.
who are by far having fewer kids than they
And no,
ever have been.
yeah.
I'm curious how important that is.
Yeah.
No more wars. Wars are an outdated form of conflict that causes injury to civilians and destroys the environment. The financial cost to the U.S. to participate in wars is astronomical. Okay. I think
Right.
that's weird.
I think that's a weird statement. I mean, it's a like correct. However,
Yeah.
as long as we have
It,
Orbans and Putins
right.
and shit like that in this world, the
Right.
threat of war is always
Like,
knocking at your door.
right. We don't control if someone attacks us.
Right.
So at the end of the day, like, I get the idea of no more wars, but I don't know how you legislate that.
You
And
right.
and at the end of the day, like, okay, I get that, like, it's expensive. And maybe the subtext here is like, stop spending so much on
On
military,
defense.
on
Yeah.
defense.
Yeah.
That I can get.
Yeah.
And I can get behind. But to just say as your party platform is no more wars, I'm like,
That
okay.
sounds really stupid.
It
It
sounds out
sounds
of
really
touch.
stupid.
It
Yeah,
sounds
it
out of
sounds
touch.
very out of touch. And I don't understand. Yeah, to your point, I don't understand how the fuck you're going to accomplish that. And, um, shit, there was something else I just thought of. Oh, and we're a part of NATO. I mean, as of today,
Yep.
we're still a part of NATO. We have an obligation to our NATO countries to make sure we're geared up to defend ourselves and them should it become
If something
necessary.
arises. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. And so this
Yeah.
idea of, like, I just, no more wars is so out of touch, the way that they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, ban private equity firms from buying up our homes. I super passionately believe in this.
Yes.
The concept of second home ownership for rental properties, for VRBOs,
Yeah.
all of that to me is, number one, it's driving up housing
Yeah.
prices. Like, we were very careful when we sold our last house. We made sure, like, we had two offers. One was $30,000 above asking. One was $35,000 above asking. The $35,000 above asking was someone who was buying it to renovate it, flip it, whatever, rent it out. Like, it was a private equity firm that was trying to buy it, but they were paying cash.
Mm-hmm.
The other side was a young couple. They were getting ready to have
Yeah.
kids. They had a dog. They wanted a fenced-in yard. Da, 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 da. We took this offer. Like, we took
Yeah.
$5,000 less so that we can make sure that our house went to at
Yep.
least a buyer that was an actual fucking family.
Yeah.
I do believe that it is important for private equity firms to not be able to buy houses.
I agree.
But I don't know that the average American, like if I went up to the average American on the street who, let's be honest, could not name all the presidents on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
If I went
Are
up
they
to that
even
person and was
aware?
like, hey, do you believe that we should ban private equity firms from buying up houses?
Yeah.
They'd be like, huh?
Is that happening? Yeah.
Right.
Like did they even have any clue that that's actually happening?
None.
Yeah.
None.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one is negotiate all drug prices. The federal government should have the ability to negotiate down the cost of all drug prices, not just some. Americans often forego their medications because of cost, while the insurance industry and drug company profits off of sickness. Okay, again, I don't disagree. We should be able to negotiate all drug prices,
Mm-hmm.
but you're missing the mark. Like,
Yeah.
you're still making it a insurance drug
Mm-hmm.
company led conversation.
Yeah.
And that's not what I believe at all. And again, I'm questioning whether this is one step forward, two steps back. So all of these like tenets of this rebellion pack and populist
Mm-hmm.
plank, while I don't necessarily disagree with any of those, their intention is to really like be an independent third party that represents the majority of
Right.
Americans. The majority of
Isn't
Americans
it?
believe in their left or right wing politics
Mm-hmm.
too much to be swayed by any of these things.
Yeah. No.
I really like, and so many of these things, like get money out of politics or higher wages, are so party specific on how they want
Yep.
to solve it. You can't solve it through this populist plank. Like, you just can't do
No.
it. So
No.
this is where it's like, okay, guys,
Swing and a miss.
you swung, and good effort, but
Yeah.
swing and a miss is exactly how I feel about it as well.
Yeah.
Like, if you are putting together I'm going to replace the Democratic Party and I'm going to put together my plank. So let's not do this today, but
Okay.
you and I need to think over the next couple of weeks. Like, if
Like
we were
putting
to put
together our
together,
own planks.
like, this is our replacement of the Democratic Party, and these are the topics that I truly believe in.
Mm-hmm.
What would those things be?
What
And
would
let's
they
talk
be?
about those.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, the only other thing that I had on my list.
Yeah.
So we had the Ron DeSantis scandal.
Yeah, which I mean, I know a little bit about that, but I don't know a whole lot.
So I'll just give you the 5-second overview.
Okay.
Medicare had been overbilled by a drug company called something or other.
Okay.
And they had done this in 22 different states, where they basically had overcharged for the Medicaid program, the Medicare program or Medicaid program, I can't remember which, for specific drugs. So they found out what they had done. They turned themselves into the states. The states decided to settle with them. And so there was like a settlement that went to each of these states that were overcharged, with the intention that that money really should go back into the coffers of Medicare or Medicaid, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Florida's amount was $67 million, and that was supposed to go back into the funds for Medicare, Medicaid. Only $57 million made it back. $10 million got routed to Ron DeSantis's wife. Casey DeSantis has a charity in Florida called Hope Florida. It's supposed to be a group that encourages Floridians and helps Floridians to get off of public assistance like Medicare and Medicaid. Ron DeSantis was saying that as part of the settlement, that the company, and we're going to call it Centis, but I can't remember what the actual company was. So the C company, whatever they were, like, he says that part of the settlement was that they would voluntarily donate to her Hope Florida as part of like the settlement. And they're like, no, we offer to give you $67 million back. And that was all taxpayer money that you were supposed to return.
Right.
So they routed it through this Hope Florida, who then transferred the amount to two groups that backed DeSantis in his last presidential
campaign. You can't do that.
Part of which, so right now they can see ties directly to a Ron DeSantis initiative as that he touted on his presidential campaign for legalizing marijuana. So like, he's like, well, it didn't go to my campaign. It went to the campaign that was about legalizing marijuana.
Come on now.
Exactly. Like, everyone's like,
that's semantics. Yeah.
Semantics, exactly. What you did was pretty illegal. Like it's
Yeah,
pretty
you
illegal.
can't do that with taxpayer dollars.
That's right. So State Representative Alex Andrade, who by the way is a Republican out of
Oh.
Florida, was the one that led the investigation. And he told CNN that the money trail looks very much like wire fraud and money laundering to me. He announced
Oh.
his committee had concluded its work, but he publicly encouraged law enforcement agencies to review the committee's findings.
Do we think they're going to? Do we really think there's going to be any kind of blowback on
No,
this?
there never is. So, anyway, so if
Wow.
you're wondering what's happening with Ron DeSantis right now,
He's the
he's having a
grifter that
very
we
bad
all knew
day.
he was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's having a
Yeah.
bad day.
Him and
All
his short
right.
little boots.
On that note, my friend.
Are you ready for a happy ending?
Yes. And I would like to also, so you had brought up with me today about the Heather Richardson quote about cowboy individualism and
yes.
republicanism.
Yes.
I do think that there's a place, like we just had a lot of content this week to go
We did.
over,
Yeah.
but I do think there's a place to talk about this. So next week, I want to make sure that we add it to our agenda.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Because I'm going to read her quote, and because I do think that, to your point, there is still this idea of like cowboy individualism that is driving the Trump voter. So let's talk about that next week.
Okay.
Right. Here's with my happy ending.
Here's your happy ending again from the United States this week. 3 weeks in a row now. A teen employee has been awarded a $40,000 scholarship from her employer so that she can become a doctor. You ready for this?
Yeah.
A young woman has received $40,000 in a scholarship funding from Taco Bell after working there through high school. Crimson Price applied for a Taco Bell scholarship for workers and was awarded $10,000 during each of the first 4 years for her undergraduate studies. Funding from the restaurant chain made it possible for her to study biology and health sciences at East Tennessee State, allowing her to pursue her dream of becoming a doctor. The student from Athens, Tennessee said she was shocked to be one of the lucky recipients of the college grants. I wasn't expecting it. I come from a rural town and a lot of people there don't have the money for college, so I'm grateful for the opportunity. It's been a major help in my ambition to become a doctor. It wasn't something I thought was going to happen when I started working at Taco Bell at 16. So she started working there during her last 2 years of high school to help her mother pay the bills.
Oh my God.
So again, this is the kind of shit that Washington's out of touch with. They don't understand that this is happening. A 16-year-old's working at Taco Bell to help her fucking mother pay the bills.
Okay, but we're going to keep this happy ending.
Yes. So
we're not going to...
Yes. So she was thrilled to learn that the only steps needed for the scholarship were her academic records and a 2-minute video explaining how the funds would help her.
Nice.
She said most other scholarship applications she had seen up to that point required a lot of work and time. Then the Liv Moss scholarship is what it's called, Liv Moss. So anyway,
can I just say,
yes,
I love Taco Bell.
Me too. We eat Taco Bell. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And any happy ending that ends with Taco Bell, in my mind, is the perfect happy ending.
Yes. And get this. It was so much money that it allowed her to facilitate her being able to do unpaid internships during her degree to prioritize her education over a part-time job.
I love that.
Fucking love this.
I love that. Yes.
I love everything about this. She was able to join an international excursion in Ecuador where she assisted doctors and grad students in providing medical care to people.
Wow. Is she getting ready to graduate?
Yeah, so I think she's getting ready to do her MCAT testing and get accepted to her into medical school.
Into med school. That's awesome. That's awesome.
She wants to focus on the importance of communication, accessibility for the deaf in local clinics.
And let's just say that, like, this is Taco Bell doing the real work. Like, Donald Trump and our government can suck it.
Yes.
This is that fucking Chihuahua dog doing the real fucking work to better our
Liv Moss, baby.
Liv Moss, baby.
The Baja Blast be out here fucking, making people's dreams come true.
Yes, ma'am.
Fucking great.
Yes, ma'am. 100%. Yeah. On that note, I love this. We have started a Facebook page for our podcast. It's just called Find Out Nation. So find us on Facebook because we're old ladies and that's where we post things. We are posting all of our political crap out there because I'm trying to spare my friends and family to just being inundated with all of my political shit. That was really the motivation. But yes, please go out and find our Facebook page, like it, follow it. Like us, follow us, subscribe to us, please. That helps just get this channel out there for people to listen to. I want to give a huge shout out to our friends who have been sharing us, have
Yeah.
been posting us on social media. You guys are the best, and we love you all. With that said, maybe we'll come up with an Instagram account, a TikTok account. I don't have time to make shorts, but you never know. Maybe I will at some point. Who knows? But
I'm not brave enough. Yeah.
exactly. But, in the meantime, at least find us on YouTube if you want to watch the video. I am going to post a picture of Donald Trump and sleeping at the Pope's funeral because it's
Yes.
the kind of picture he would hate. And so I really want to perpetuate it as much as I can. With that
Yes.
said, though, you can also listen to us. We are on all the podcast streaming channels, Amazon, Audible, Apple Podcasts,
Spotify.
Spotify, everywhere. And
Yeah.
we try and bring this to you ad free. So hopefully you are enjoying it. With that
Yes.
said, I hope you all have a lovely week ahead.
Yes.
And we love you and we hope that you survive.
Yes. Hang in there.
Goodbye.
Good night.